Right, let's move on to another example for our subtraction method, okay? So we've got 7,432 minus 765, okay? We need to ensure we put the numbers in the correct column because we don't want to make any mistakes. For example, if we put the 7 in that column, that wouldn't be right because we've only actually got 765 to take away, okay? So let's start as in our units column as always. So we need to take away 5 units from 2 units. We can't actually do that because we can't take away a bigger number from a smaller number, okay? So what we need to do is we need to borrow. So we're going to borrow from our tens column and turn that 30 into a 20, which then gives us 12 in our units, okay? So we're going to take away 5 units from 12, which will give us 7. Next, we need to move on to our tens column. We're going to take away 6 tens from 2 tens. Again, that is not possible. We can't take away 6 tens if we've only got 2. So we're going to go to our hundred column, and our 100 is going to go into a 300, and we're going to borrow 100 to make our 20 into 120. So if we take away 60 from 120, we're going to be left with 60, which is 6 tens in our tens column, okay? We've then need to take away 700 from 300. Again, that is not possible, okay? We've been given a really tricky question here, haven't we? Lots of borrowing to do in this one. So what we need to do is borrow from our thousands column. So we're going to turn the 7,000 into a 6,000. And our 300 is going to turn into 1,300. Okay, so 1,300. We're then going to take away the 700 away from the 1,300, which will leave us with 600, okay? So the 6 goes in our hundreds column. We then need to take away nothing away from our 6,000, which will leave us with 6,000, okay? So our answer to that question is 6,667, okay? Right, let's move on to some more examples. Let's say that Sam has 703 sweets and his greedy brother, Tom, eats 267 of them. So how many sweets will he have left? So what we need to do is put those questions into our method. So put the numbers in. So we know that he started with 703, but his brother has actually eaten 267 of them. So how many has he now got left, okay? So again, start with our units. 7 away from 3. We can't take 7 away from 3. It isn't possible. However, we can't borrow from next door because next door's only got a 0. Okay? So what we need to do is go to the next neighbour and borrow from there. So that is going to go to a 600, okay? What we then do is we don't jump and borrow it onto our 3. What we do is we turn this into 10 tens, which is 100, okay? So what we can do from this one is we can now borrow because we've got 10 here. So what we can do is borrow from here, and this will actually turn to 9 tens. We will then have the one that we've borrowed, the 110, to turn it into 13, okay? It's a bit tricky when we have 0 in our numbers to take away. So I hope that does make sense, okay? So we're going to take away the 7 from the 13, which will leave us with 6. We then can do this one because we've borrowed already. So we're going to take away 60 from 90, which will give us 30. And we're then going to take away the 200 from the 600, which will give us 400, okay? So our answer is 436. Okay, so please listen to that one carefully again if you don't quite understand the 0 and the method that we had to do, okay? Right, we're going to move on to some more examples, okay? Right, so this time we've been given a missing number and we've actually got addition in here, although we're doing subtraction. So something add 357 equals 588, okay? What we need to do here to work out the missing number is the inverse. So the inverse to addition is subtraction, okay? So we know that this number here plus this number is 588, which is telling us that if we take this number away from 588, it's going to give us this missing number, okay? So what we need to do is do the written method again, and we need to take away, again, putting our bigger number at the top, we need to take away the smaller number away from the bigger number to work out what our missing number is. So we're going to take away, again, starting at our units, 7 units away from 8 units, we can do that. That will leave us with 1 unit. 5 tens away from 8 tens, we can do that. That will leave us with 30, so we've got 3 tens. And then 300 away from 500, which we can do, that will give us 200. So that is telling us that our missing number here is 231. So this number sentence would look like this. 231 add 357 equals 588, okay? So some of you might have questions like that today. So if you do, make sure you look at what it's asking and think about using the inverse, because all your questions today are subtraction. So please don't get confused and add together numbers, because all your questions will be subtraction, so don't let them trick you out, okay? Right, let's look at some different ones, okay? So this time we're going to look at 4 digits, okay? Again, missing number question. Again, remember, we're doing subtraction, so straight away you should know that we're going to have to do some subtracting here, okay? We know that this number, at 3,576, gives us the total of 5,854. Therefore, if we take away this number from our total number, it will give us our missing number. So again, biggest number is what we're going to take away from. Setting it out correctly, making sure our numbers are in the correct columns according to their place value, okay? So it should look like this. Right, so 5,854 minus 3,576, okay? So the first of all, again, starting on our units column, 6 units away from 4 units. Is that possible? No, it isn't, okay? And hopefully you all agreed with me there. We can't take away 6 if we've only got 4, okay? So what we're going to do again is we're going to have to borrow. So if we borrow next door kindly, we borrow a 10. So their 10s will go to 40, and we will now have 1 10 with our 4, which will give us 14. We can take away 6 from 14. That will leave us with 8. Okay? We've then got 70, and we need to take it away from 40. Is that possible? No, it's not possible, is it? We can't take away a bigger number from a smaller number, okay? So what we're going to do again is kindly go to our neighbour, and we're going to borrow. They're going to turn it into 700, and we're going to borrow 100. So we've got 14 tens, which is 140. If we take away the 70 from our 140, we're left with 70. So we've got 7 tens going in our tens column, okay? Right, let's move on to our hundreds column. 500 away from 700. Yes, we can do this one. No borrowing this time. So we've got a lucky neighbour there because we don't have to borrow. So we're going to take away 500 from 700, which will give us 200. Then our last step is to take away the thousands. 3 thousands away from 5,000 will give us 2,000. So our answer there is 2,278, okay? Right, so today, let's just have a recap on all the questions that we've done today. You are going to be doing work similar to this, okay? What you need to do is follow these important steps. You need to make sure you read the word problem correctly, okay? Very carefully if you've been given a word problem. You need to pull out the key information, okay? Make sure you are clear on what it is asking you to do, okay? Once you have done that, you need to put your question into column subtraction, okay? Making sure you put the numbers in the correct columns according to their value. Okay, remember to put your bigger number at the top and your smaller number at the bottom. We then start on our units. We take away the bottom number from the top number and then we move down, okay? Remember, if your bottom number is bigger than your top number, you are going to have to borrow. You cannot take away a number that is bigger than the number above, okay? So that is where we'll have to use our borrow method, okay? So please look very carefully and please take your time. Make sure your work is set out and well presented, ensuring that your numbers are in the correct columns, okay? And I look forward to seeing the work you do. Good luck, Acorns.